Here we go. Count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty.
I don't know.
Across its 11 seasons, The Walking Dead has introduced plenty of characters fans adore, like my main man, Daryl Dixon. He has had me in a chokehold since 2013. I kid you not, to this day, I still have my t-shirt and mug that says, if Daryl dies, we riot. The love that the fan base has for this man is astronomical, but what's love without hate? If there is one thing the fandom still seems to agree on, is that Lori Grimes takes the crown as the show's most hated character, which is hilarious because Negan, with all the terrible things he's done, doesn't get nearly the same level of hate as Lori does. Lori might actually share a cell with Iris, Mary Jane, and Amber as being the most hated female characters in the last couple of decades. If you were to ask 14-year-old Toons, hey, do you hate Lori from The Walking Dead? I would have immediately shook my head up and down and given you a 10-minute long PowerPoint explanation as to why I do. But now, rewatching The Walking Dead as a semi-functional woman in society, I don't hate Lori. While she does make questionable decisions, she's still only human, adapting to the new world order of things. So, we start off with Rick and Shane having a discussion on the difference between men and women. Men and women just got different instincts. Yeah, like Lori's instinct to run straight to me as soon as you die, huh? Must have been the wind. The conversation turns sour when Rick mentions Lori, and it's revealed that they have been fighting more frequently as of late. Lori accuses Rick of not even caring about his family right in front of Carl. Carl! I'm sorry, I just had to do that once. So, we have to remember that before walkers roamed the earth, their relationship was already rocking at the edge of a cliff. Soon after, they receive a radio call about criminals engaging in a high-speed chase Tokyo Drift style. They pull up and set out some spikes. The car approaches, go over the spikes and flips over. The cops move in carefully, but the criminals get out and starts popping off. And I gotta say this, all these cops need to go back and get gun training expeditiously, because how y'all shoot and miss him? Stormtrooper ass aim. Rick gets hit on the side after the boys in blue miss 50 times. Seeing that, they have finally awakened and blast him like it was that scene and set it off. Okay, you can stop now. I'm sure she's dead. Another guy pops up and bites the dust. Rick gets up no problem and tells his fellow cops he's fine, that the bullet caught his vest. Of course he's fine. He's the main character with plot armor. Ain't nothing gonna hurt. Well, damn, I spoke too soon. We see Shane visiting Rick at the hospital with some dusty funeral flowers, telling him, you sleep any longer, and I'm claiming your wife and her. And he actually does! They were going to Pound Town every other morning and night. Time has passed while Rick was in a coma in a hospital, while the world went to Shane, being a real one, saved his best friend's family and got them to safety. And just to be crystal clear, before the outbreak, Shane and Lori were nothing. No stolen looks, no secret feelings, just friends. Nothing more and nothing less. The end of the world rewired everything. The first few times we see Lori after the world has been claimed by the dead, she's either making out or bumping uglies with Shane on the forest floor? I'm sorry, but I'll never understand having sex on the dirt patch for bugs. Aren't y'all worried with all that moaning and groaning you're doing, you'll attract the attention of walkers and have ants crawl up your coochie? No, it's just me, alright. This was count 1 of the many offenses that Lori has committed, which has put a sour taste in the mouths of many fans. The logical part of me is saying that Lori believes herself to be a widow and that her husband is dead. Believe it or not, this is Lori grieving while getting her back blown out. Grief is weird like that because when you suffer a deep personal loss, it can manifest in various ways. The grieving and coping process can lead people to drinking their sorrows away until they're flat out drunk. Others go to the club and party. Some even have one night stands or multiple just to feel something other than grief. And for Lori, having a post-apocalyptic relationship with Shane is what she needs. Listen, both are grown, consenting adults who know that their actions have severe consequences. Lori and Shane were trauma bonded, and the two links to that trauma were the end of the world providing flesh-eating walkers in the death of Rick. But the hater in me can't let this slide. Out of all the men left in Georgia, Lori just had to jump on her husband's best friend and partner. Her husband's best friend and partner. That's hella disrespectful. I'm looking at you too, Shane. It takes two to tango. You're just as guilty. Your best friend's wife? Really? So here's the timeline. Rick gets shot on August 25th, 2010 and doesn't wake up until October 22nd, 2010. So you're telling me it took Lori not even 2 months to switch up on her man and start cozying up to Shane? And it's not like they were strangers either. They all known each other since high school. Rick and Lori are high school sweethearts. They got married extremely young. What's even worse, his body wasn't even cold yet. Literally. Jumping ahead, Rick finally reunites with his family. Shane looks like he's seen a ghost, looking dumb, and Lori's face says it all.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
Get ready for this.
Total shock, because she genuinely believed her husband was gone. And this moment kicks off count 2 of the Lori offense. The second Rick walks back into the picture, Lori instantly slams the brakes on anything romantic with Shane, like it never happened. That's not even the main reason fans are mad at Lori. What really frustrates people is how she treated Shane, accusing him of lying about Rick being dead. Over and over in seasons 1 and 2, she snaps,
My husband is back safe and sound. My husband is dead in some hospital.
as if Shane made it up just to get with her. But the truth? Shane genuinely thought Rick was dead. He even tried to explain himself, but Lori didn't want to hear it. Like this scene at the CDC, Lori shows open disgust, acting like Shane tricked her when in reality he didn't. Think back to how chaotic those first few days were. Doctors and nurses abandoned their posts, the military was shooting at civilians, and people were being bitten left and right. Was it really that far-fetched for Shane to assume Rick died? Not to mention, Shane was stuck in an impossible situation. If he tried to move Rick, they either would have been Walker Chow or mowed down by bullets from the military. Honestly, if we're gonna be so for real, like, I have no idea how Rick survived all of that. Because for one, he was in that coma for at least 2 months. And you telling me no one was taking care of him all that time? Like, realistically, he should have died in that hospital bed. When he finally woke up, the man looked half dead already, severely dehydrated and barely hanging on. But hey, plot armor. That being said, what Shane did to Lori at the CDC is completely inexcusable. As much criticism as the fandom, myself included, throws Lori's way, she absolutely did not deserve to be sexually assaulted by Shane. He was drunk, yes, but that doesn't lessen the fact that he forced himself on her. Lori is not responsible for her own assault. Even if she treated Shane poorly or manipulated him at times before that moment, none of that justifies what he did. Abuse, betrayal, or hurt feelings are not a free pass for SAing someone. Shane is morally responsible for his actions. What's even more disturbing is that some fans actually tried to defend or excuse him in this scene, and that says more about those fans than about the characters. After nearly getting essayed by Shane, their interactions become more strained than ever. Early in season 2, Shane snaps at Carl, and Lori, confused and defensive, demands to know why he's brushing off her son.
Flashback.
Let me dispel it. You stay away from me. You stay away from my son. You don't look at him. You don't talk to him. From now on, my family is off limits to you. You stay away from my son. You stay away from my son.
So now, Shane's doing exactly what you ask. He's keeping his distance, even planning to dip out from the group. But honestly, throughout the whole stretch of season 2, Lori is just unbearable and insufferable. Which brings us to count 3 of the Lori offense. The great Carl disappearing act. Carl! I'm sorry, that will be the last time I do that. How many times does Carl wander off to do his own thing? And half the time, Lori is pawning him off to others like it was hot potato. Girl, watch your kid! Rick too! Carol didn't watch her kid, and we all saw the end results to that. Anytime someone, usually Shane, points out, hey, you should keep an eye on Carl or talk to him, Rick Houdini's out of the scene like it's not his problem. In Dale's death, totally preventable. Remember, Carl wanders off, finds a swamp walker, and decides it's playtime, throwing rocks at it, egging it on, and nearly getting snatched up. Hours later, that same walker stumbles into the farm and brutally rips Dale apart. All of that could have been avoided with just a little parental supervision. explosion. You think after their son literally got shot, Rick and Lori would turn into helicopter parents, but nope. And it gets worse. Carl swipes a gun from Dale's RV and asks Shane to teach him. Are no adults watching the only child in this camp? I get it, it's not the group's responsibility to babysit Carl, but come on. You telling me no one, absolutely no one notices this kid wandering off doing whatever? This spirals into a heated argument between Rick and Lori, with Lori foaming at the mouth.
There's no but, he was just shot. He's just back on his feet and he wants a gun?
Yes! Yes!
And while I get it, she's in full mama bear mode, the truth is Carl will need to learn how to defend himself in this new world. I know this vid is about Lori, but Carl low-key was annoying in the latter half of season 2. He kept purposely putting himself in danger, and it's Shane who either busts him or is the one Carl goes for help. Count 4 of the Lori offense is acting like the queen bee, being super hypocritical, and somehow doing nothing and everything at the same time. First off, she ropes Glenn, that's my dog right there, into being her personal errand boy, sending him to fetch a pregnancy test like he's her butler. But hey, Glenn reaped the benefits of smashing the farmer's daughter, but still, Lori had him running CVS runs in the apocalypse. Lori takes the pregnancy test and
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise.
she's pregnant. And the way she stares at that stick like she's shocked. Girl, with the amount of times you were doing the dances all this time between Rick and Shane, I'm more surprised that it happened sooner. Like, Lori, did you not know if you let a man ejaculate inside of you, there's a high chance you end up pregnant with a big head baby? I don't mean to laugh, but this is the type of clownery that you see on one of those bad reality TV shows. Even more hilarious, she doesn't even know who the baby daddy is. They need to go on Maury. But Lori doesn't stop there. She drags Glenn back into her drama again, this time sending him to get abortion pills. This almost gets Maggie killed in a walker attack, even though Maggie volunteered to join, even though Glenn said he got it. But anyway, they return and Maggie rightfully drags Lori to filth afterward.
Meg, next time you want something, get it your damn self. We're not your errand boys.
Hun,
And here's your abortion pills.
Get her, Jade.
Glenn tries to reason with Lori, telling her she should include Rick in the decision instead of hiding it. But of course, Lori hears him but isn't listening. He takes the pills, then instantly regrets it, forces herself to vomit them out, and spirals into more chaos. After returning to the tent, Rick finds the empty container of pills and goes to see Lori. The two argue and Rick clocks her tea about her keeping secrets from him. Meanwhile, earlier she was jumping down Rick's throat for him keeping the secret that Herschel wants him off the farm, and yet here she is hiding her pregnancy from him. They both go back and forth on whether it is right to bring the baby into the world because of the risk. Rick got flagged for this scene because too many people misinterpreted his words. He literally says,
You really think I'd make you have a baby you don't want?
no, so that if I went through with it, it would be on my conscience and not yours.
Rick was angry she kept it from him and was basically saying he would support her decision. Whatever it was, there was no need to hide the pregnancy if an abortion was what she wanted. He wouldn't make her have the baby. And finally, the moment we all been waiting for, Rick asks Lori if there are any other secrets she'd like to get off her chest.
What do you mean by that?
Lori, looking guilty as ever, admits she slept with Shane back when she thought Rick was dead. Rick basically tells her, girl, I already knew. Hell, everybody in camp knew. I was just waiting for you or Shane to finally have the guts to tell me. Later, we learn there are walkers in the barn, and Shane busts the barn open, and we discover Sophia, the lost little girl everyone's been searching for, stumbles out as a walker. Herschel disappears to drink away his pain at the local bar. Rick, being Rick, feels responsible for everyone and goes after him. Lori, with the bombastic side eye, basically tells Rick,
You want to have a conversation about this before you leave?
So you seriously gonna go after this guy with everything that's going on, huh?
He's right.
Dude?
He's right. This is not the time to head off. Not today. You don't always have to.
Before Rick cut her off, she was about to say, you don't always have to solve everyone's problems, and agrees with her baby daddy Shane. Rick and Glenn head out to find Herschel, and this is where Lori decides to take matters into her own hands. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to count 5 of the Lori offense. She marches right up to my man Daryl and starts barking orders, telling him to saddle up, head into town, and drag Rick and Herschel back. Lori, read the room. Daryl is devastated. He spent every single day risking his life to find Sophia, only for her to end up dead. All in one day, he lost the little girl, the hope he was clinging to, and probably a chunk of himself, and now you want him to just run another rescue mission like nothing happened? Daryl shuts her down hard with,
"Your bitch went window shopping. You want to fetch him yourself."
Lori then has the nerve and audacity to call him selfish for not doing what she wanted, leading to my top 3 moments in season 2. Daryl says,
Selfish? Listen to me, Olive Oyl. I was out there looking for that little girl every single day. I took a bullet and an arrow in the process.
I can't, I'm wheezing. For those who don't understand the reference, Olive Oyl, not to be confused with Olive Oyl, is a cartoon character from the comic strip and television series following Popeye, not the fast food chicken joint. You know that little tune? I'm Popeye the Sailor Man, toot.
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
Olive Oyl is usually Popeye's girlfriend, although she could be extremely fickle depending on who could woo her the best. She's the love interest between 2 men, Popeye and his rival Bluto. She's famously stuck between the 2 men, just like Lori caught between Rick and Shane. Daryl ate with that savage delivery. Now, to be fair, I don't think Daryl's outburst was pure anger. He was grieving. He felt like he failed Sophia. He didn't want to go searching again because he was terrified of what he might find. He lashed out because he didn't know how to process his pain. Lori, instead of staying her ass home at the farm and I don't know, watching her son, she sneaks out, takes a car, and heads off to find Rick and Herschel. Now, here's where the clownery begins. While driving down the road, instead of pulling over like a normal human being to check the map, she tries to multitask, and sure enough, she manages to crash into the one single walker standing in the middle of the road. And this is the part that really grinds my gears. When most people hit something with their car, yeah, you panic, you might scream, slam the brakes, whatever, but then those defensive driving instincts usually kick in. Not Lori. Instead, Lori swerved toward the ditch with the walker clear out of her sight. And I'm just like, Lori, you're pregnant. I know the baby is still developing, can't feel anything yet, but damn. Shane, being obsessed with Lori, chases after her and lies about Rick returning to the farm, as that was the only way to get her back. Shane spills the beans on her being pregnant to the group, leading to another altercation between them.
It was real.
It was
It was a
not.
long time coming. It was real, Lord.
It was not.
Ooh. We as an audience have to remember Shane is slowly losing his mind and descending straight down to madness. Now we're steering the ship to the catfight between Andrea and Lori on whether or not Beth, who is Herschel's other daughter, has the right to off herself. Beth, reeling after her mother's death, contemplates suicide. Maggie scolds her for even considering it, and Andrea and Lori are listening in from the sidelines. Andrea says that Lori shouldn't have taken Beth's knife away. Beth has the right to choose if she wants to live or not. Lori immediately claps back, throwing Andrea's own suicide attempt in her face with the most arrogant, sarcastic tone possible. Oh, but you got through it, and you've been such a productive member of the group since.
I'm sorry, what would you have me do?
Oh, there's plenty of work to go around.
Are you serious? Everything falls apart. You're in my face over skipping laundry?
I went after Rick. I took down 2 walkers.
Barely.
Crashing Maggie's car. Ever apologize for that?
Crashing her. You're insane.
No, you are. And you're the one that's self-centered. The way you take it all for granted.
This bitch.
You know what? Go ahead. Go in there and tell that little girl that everything's gonna be okay, just like it is for you. She'll get a husband, a son, baby, boyfriend.
And
She just has to look on the bright side.
And listen, Andrea ate her up. She dismantled Lori's fake pedestal, dragging her hypocrisy across that kitchen floor. And honestly, that reality check was long overdue. Carol earlier had just dubbed Lori,
You're Rick's wife. Sort of makes you our unofficial first lady.
and Lori has started acting like she was untouchable just because she was Rick's wife. Stability is important, sure, but Lori truly believes she didn't need to learn basic self-defense because the men can handle the walkers. Lori, it's the apocalypse. Anything can happen at any given moment. You could be separated from Rick and Shane, and then what? How are you going to protect your kid if it's just the two of you? When Lori hasn't even learned the basics to defend herself, that's just being irresponsible. She barely handled herself after that car crash. Lori really wants to go back to that pre-apocalypse lifestyle and just be a housewife. Nothing wrong with that, but I personally believe everyone in the group, and I mean everyone, needs to know how to defend themselves and fight, not just against walkers, but people too. Don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is a zombie apocalypse, and anything can happen. And I think Lori said the men can handle the walkers because the one time Andrea shoots a gun at what she thought was a walker by trying to protect the farm was actually Daryl. She ends up shooting him in the head. Not my man! And as much as I love Andrea tearing Lori's ass a new one, her advocating for death to commit suicide was wild to me. I see both sides of Lori and Andrea's arguments. Neither was right nor wrong. Andrea understood firsthand what it was like to lose all hope and saw value in letting Beth confront that darkness herself, believing it might help Beth reclaim her own reason to live. However, that doesn't mean Lori was in the wrong to stop her, because she was simply caring about an innocent girl's life. The problem with Andrea's stance is that she didn't think through the consequences. Giving Beth the option to end her life might have sounded like tough love empowerment in Andrea's head, but in reality, it was reckless. Beth was only 17, grieving her mother and clearly not in the right frame of mind to make such a permanent decision. Just as Andrea herself wasn't after losing her sister, if Beth had gone through with it, the fallout would have been catastrophic. Maggie was rightfully furious. Herschel was still on edge after the barn incident, and the group's place on the farm was hanging by a thread. Andrea at this moment wasn't protecting the group, she was projecting her own philosophy about life and death onto a fragile teenager who had just lost her mother. Overall, let me know in the comments below who was right and wrong in this argument, Lori or Andrea? Andrea casually mentioning that Lori has everything, a husband, a son, a baby, and a boyfriend, leads to what fans hated the most about Lori. Count 6 of the Lori offense, pitting Rick and Shane against each other. Now, do I believe Lori intentionally wanted to pit Rick and Shane against each other? Not exactly, but let's be real, it's giving planting the seeds of doubt energy. Rick might be many things, but stupid isn't one of them. He's a former cop, he could read a room, and he clocked the energy between his wife and best friend the second he came back. It wasn't subtle. Rick knew they'd been booed up, and instead of blowing up right then and there, he sat back and waited to see which one of them would actually have the guts to confess. This love triangle wasn't just messy, it was fatal. While Shane's jealousy and aggression spiraled out of control, it was Lori's carefully chosen words that gave Rick the final push. Some fans still debate to this day, did Lori manipulate Rick into killing Shane? Was that her plan all along? Let's look at the receipts. Lori and Rick have a private talk about Shane, and she drops that line that changes everything.
Shane thinks I'm his. He thinks the baby's his. And he says you can't protect us, that you're gonna get us killed. He's dangerous, Rick, and he won't stop.
That wasn't just an observation, it was a loaded warning. She never outright says kill Shane, but she doesn't have to. A showdown was soon approaching, and just like that, the seed is planted. Rick has been avoiding that for so long, but Lori's words pushed him right toward it. And honestly, she wasn't wrong. Let's not forget, back in season 1 where Rick had just returned, Shane literally raised his gun at him, finger on the trigger, and would have pulled it if Dale hadn't made made noise and caught him in the act. The tragedy is that Lori didn't just stir the pot, she lit the match. And when Shane and Rick finally collided, it was a deadly fallout that changed the group forever. Count 7 of the Lori offense, giving Shane false hope and then acting brand new. Shortly after Lori plants the seed in Rick's head about Shane, she turns right around and has a heart-to-heart with Shane himself. And let me tell you, this scene is messy as hell. At first, Shane was actually starting to pull away. He knew the fight with Rick meant whatever thing he had with Lori was over. To his credit, he was trying to be mature, keeping his distance, respecting Rick, and slowly reintegrating himself into the group. You can see him gradually finding a new balance. But Lori, she couldn't just leave well enough alone. She apologizes to Shane, admits she played a role in putting him at odds with Rick, and then she drops the nuclear bomb.
I don't even know whose baby this is.
You can see the shift in Shane's body language. That line alone reignited his obsession. Instead of closure, Lori just poured salt on wounds that were barely scabbing over. What Shane heard wasn't "I feel bad what I did." It was, "There's still a chance that this could be yours." She didn't mean it that way, but the timing was atrocious. So what happens next? Shane spirals. That fragile maturity he was working towards shatters, and suddenly Lori's words become his fuel. He convinces himself it's not over, that she does want him, and he lures Rick into the woods under the pretense of hunting Randall. There he pulls a gun, fully intended to kill his best friend and claim Lori and Carl as his own. But Rick outsmarts him, stabs him in the heart, and ends it once and for all. And this is the moment that truly solidified the hate that fans have for Lori. When Rick tells her what happened, you expect relief, maybe even gratitude. Instead, Lori looks horrified, disgusted even. Fans, myself included, were heated. Were you not the one who told Rick Shane was dangerous? And now here you are clutching your pearls because Rick did what he had to do? The first time I ever watched this, I punched the air in frustration. But on a rewatch, I realized her reaction wasn't rooted in mourning her side piece. It was about Carl. Rick explains how Shane died, and Lori's just in stunned silence. But the second Rick says,
Carl put him down,
that's when she snaps. That's when the anger and horror spill out. Because Lori's worst fear all season long has been Carl losing his innocence. She begged Rick to shield him from the ugliness of this new world, terrified that would turn him cold. So when she learns Carl fired the shot, she isn't angry about Rick killing Shane. She's angry that her son had to cross that line. This was yet another instance of a child managing to slip away without a single adult noticing. Shane's death wasn't just the first murder within the group, it was also the moment Carl officially lost a piece of his childhood. And for Lori, that's a far bigger tragedy than Shane's actual death. At the start of season 3, Lori is definitely singing a different tune. Not only does Rick give her the side eye, but the cold shoulder as well. And honestly, can you blame him? Rick's resentment is rooted in that moment. When he told Lori he killed Shane, let's not forget, Lori had been the one whispering in his ear all season long that Shane was a problem, that he needed to handle it. So when Rick finally does what she's been low-key pushing him to do, instead of support, she recoils, horrified, disgusted. From his POV, the woman who always validated him, who always backed him up when he doubted himself, suddenly abandoned him in the moment he needed her most. And then later that night, the group doubts him too. The man who's been breaking his back to keep them alive is suddenly the villain.
This isn't a democracy anymore.
And just like that, it's a dictatorship, baby. By season 3, Lori seems to finally understand how shitty of a wife she's been. She even admits she's not exactly mother of the year and that her choices drove a wedge between her and Rick. She even tries to lighten the tension with a joke, and for a brief second, Rick cracks a smile. But here's the painful truth. Rick can't stand to look at her anymore. He only makes eye contact with Lori a handful of times before her death. The hurt of her betrayal runs deep, and though he doesn't argue when she calls herself a bad wife, he does reassure her she's not a bad mother. That's what makes her conversation with him about the prisoners so important. Rick floats the idea of killing them, and Lori of all people tells him to do it if it's necessary. That's Lori's way of trying to undo the damage she caused after Shane, trying to let Rick know she won't judge him anymore for doing what's necessary. The tragedy, Rick has already built a wall around himself. He's so wrapped up in carrying the burden of leadership, so afraid of more judgment, especially from Lori, he never lets himself process her change of heart until it was too late. And then her death. And I gotta say, out of all the pregnancy scenes that I have witnessed in movies and TV shows, Bella from Twilight and Lori's traumatized me on how visceral childbirth is, especially when there's no doctor around as well. And it's Carl who has to put her down.
No.
Andrew Lincoln should have won an Emmy for that breakdown. What's even worse, this greedy ass obese walker ate Lori. And when I say he ate her, I'm talking from the meat to the bone. There was no trace of Lori left. There was no body to bury, no closure, just a grotesque reminder of how merciless this world is. Rick throughout the rest of season 3 sees the ghosts of Lori and battles his inner demons. What follows is Rick spiraling, hallucinating, and talking to Lori on the phone that isn't really ringing. I believe if Lori had lived, they would have eventually repaired things, maybe not fully, but enough to coexist and rebuild. The love that they had for each other was still there, but was buried under betrayal, guilt, and trauma, but they never got that chance again, and that's the real tragedy of Lori Grimes. So, after stacking up 7 Lori offenses, where do we land? Let's keep it a buck. Lori Grimes is not winning any fan favorite polls. Her choices were often reckless, hypocritical, and sometimes flat out ridiculous. From pawning Carl off all the time, to barking orders to others like she's the queen bee, to dropping bombs on Rick and Shane at the worst possible times, Lori gave us plenty of reasons to side-eye her. But let's be honest for a second, was Lori truly evil? No, she wasn't the governor, she wasn't Negan, she wasn't even Shane. Lori was flawed, Lori was human. Think about it, she thought her husband was dead during the literal end of the world. She latched onto the one person she trusted most, made decisions in panic, tried to protect her son in a world where childhood was instantly stolen, and struggled to balance survival with morality. Was she hypocritical? Absolutely. Irrational more often than not, but all of that makes her real. Not every survivor is going to be Michonne level badass or Carol level cold-blooded. Some are going to panic, some are going to cling to the wrong people, some are going to make choices that backfire spectacularly. That was Lori. She was a mirror of what fear and grief can do to a person. And while The Walking Dead has its fair share of hated characters, let's be clear, Lori Grimes does not hold the crown. Trust and believe there are far worse offenders walking around that universe. At the end of the day, Lori wasn't a villain. She wasn't a saint either. She was something scarier, messier, and far relatable. She was human. And maybe that's why she still sparks so much debate to this day. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and the notification bell so you never miss an update. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!